I have never seen the second and third How to Train Your Dragon
You guys,
movies.
I have to deal with this every single day, and it's so hard.
Hello and welcome to Cassette Take, where you can eject wherever you want, but please don't forget to rewind. I'm Ethan.
I'm Annmarie.
And Annmarie, what did we just go see?
We just got out of seeing How to Train Your Dragon 2025.
Yes, the live-action remake right after Lilo and Stitch, done by the director who did the original, who also worked on Lilo and Stitch, who also, with Chris Sanders, who came back to voice Lilo and Stitch live action, but wasn't involved in this one, but also worked on the original How to Train Your Dragon.
Is this a paradox, or is this like the She's the Man title that's super long?
So Dean DeBlois, directed this movie. Coming back from the original How to Train Your Dragon, and gosh, I gotta say, I am so happy he came back.
There's no other perfect director for this. He knows exactly what he's doing. He fell in love with these characters. I'm so glad he's back because it made it feel more real, I guess, or just like he just knew How to Train Your Dragon, which makes sense.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into all of it. But first, let's get into what our preliminary thoughts were going into this movie, because for me, it was just this whole idea of hearing, Dean DeBlois talking about how, if they're gonna make a live action remake, I might as well be doing it, and then also just all this talk about it being a beat for beat remake, which, had me a little worried, like, oh, is this just going to be a complete 100% rehash of what came before? And then also some people that got an early screening of it were kind of saying, it's good, but it's just, we've seen this before. And, it had me a little worried going into it, I'm not going to lie. And then especially coming right out of Lilo and Stitch live action, which really disappointed me thoroughly. I don't know, I was really hoping that, this movie was going to do justice to the original and just really soar high, and with all that preliminary talk, it just was, oh man, not really putting my expectations in a high place. Now, Annmarie, before we get into our true thoughts.
I think I have to agree with you from, I really, and I know this is different companies, but I really like the Disney live action remakes. I've enjoyed more of them than not enjoyed as many. And after seeing Lilo and Stitch, I remember we made a quick video saying, oh no, how is How to Train Your Dragon gonna do? Because we were both very disappointed with Lilo and Stitch. It doesn't relate, of course, different companies, different directors, but there was some nerves going into this, and I gotta say, I'm very satisfied.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I mean, it just delivers on all ends. And Dean DeBlois, DeBlois, I don't know, whoever.
Amazing.
Amazing. Gosh, what a great idea to have one of the original directors whose main vision has been mostly in animation, come to direct a live action film here with what he's familiar with. And it's just, there's so many things of why this works so well, from the little things to the big things, from the camera movements that would typically only work in in animation, that are now implemented into live action, that just, most directors in live action typically wouldn't work with those types of camera movements. And yet here, because of this director's perspective of coming in from animation, he tries it and it works so well.
It's just amazing. Hands down. I think the original film made you truly believe that there was dragons and there was Vikings and this was a real story. And this one does it again. I was like, where's my Toothless? I need my own. I'm ready to take him on a ride. Let's go. Oh my God. I think you're absolutely right. This shouldn't work, but it does.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing I was worried about was, okay, well, how will the visual effects be? Because this is a movie where you really have to make that a big focal point, considering, 3/4 of the movie involves CGI dragons.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, my scale dragon, funny. My scale with this stuff is always if it's a CGI character and I see it and I feel like I can touch it, then I give it a thumbs up. Here, absolutely feel like I could pet Toothless. I feel like I could just reach out and touch him. The exact opposite of what I got out of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, where it's like, oh, I'm just touching the volume. Like,
It's so true though. Like Toothless felt real. I wonder how much of him was CGI, how much was maybe practical if they built their own little Toothless. Like the Universal Epic Universe has its own Toothless that
Right.
can go pet now, but he felt real. Like he felt like I was flying with him. We saw this in IMAX. I don't think there's any other way you can see this movie, by the way. Go see it in IMAX.
oh, absolutely, 100%. Test Drive is definitely something you have to see in IMAX. Like, that whole sequence alone is worth the price of admission. And paired with John Powell's score coming back, just, oh man, through those speakers, it just reaches into your soul. Speaking of the soul of this movie, let's talk about the characters. Let's really talk about Matthew Thames? Mason Thames coming into this role as Hiccup. Let's talk about Astrid. Let's talk about Gerard Butler reprising his role as
Stoic.
Gosh, why I'm blanking all the names. Like, I see him on screen, like, oh, that's Gerard. Like,
well, I actually think that's actually an excellent segue because all the characters felt like the characters. I was nervous. I was like, oh no, like, because another thing, hate to keep comparing this to Lilo and Stitch, but Lilo and Stitch, Jumba doesn't have his accent. Here, Hiccup doesn't have his lisp. I think it's a lisp. His, I don't know, accent, whatever. Didn't bother me at all. Every single character, I'm like, that is Astrid, that is Hiccup, that is Stoic, that is Snotrot, that's rough, that's tough. All of them, I felt like, oh my gosh, they nailed the casting for this.
oh my gosh, yeah. It just, everyone was able to channel those characters so well. And I'm sure that's a result of a wonderful pairing between, the director and, the actors and just everything culminating together here. But not only were they able to channel the characters, they got me to believe to the visual effects as well. So it's not only the visual effects artists that are really getting us to believe this experience, it's the acting and the direction all culminating together here that really makes it all believable. And it really makes it feel like this live action remake was made worth it on these factors alone. I mean, of course, the story itself is going to be timeless, but, just these little factors that you don't really consider, and when they all work together, like an army of dragons and Vikings, I mean, like, it works out so well.
Can I say this, by the way? Mason and Nico are excellent casting. Their chemistry is so strong in this film. And truly, I think the other films, like How to Train Your Dragon 2 and 3, really rely on their relationship. So I'm so happy that they got cast. I'm going to say this now. I'm going to stand up for my girl. Everyone that said Nico Parker can't be Astrid because of her skin color, go see this movie because that's Astrid to a T. To a T.
Yeah, she, I think, was one of the best. Of course, her and Mason and Gerard were probably the best three that channeled their characters. I mean, it really was a perfect choice for casting. And I'm so hyped to see, because they're obviously, they made the announcement, they're making a second one. So
Let's go.
I'm really looking forward to this whole team coming back together and making a second one with this same cast, with these characters, and really recapturing that spirit that the original had. Now, going off of that, I will say, if I were to pick which one I like better, hands down, the original animation, in my opinion, I think is still better, but not by as much as I thought it would be.
That's actually a good point to make, because I think the one thing I said right after the movie is this is just missing something. I can't tell you what. I can't tell you what. And maybe it's because I just rewatched the original trilogy, but there's something like a tinge of magic that's missing. Still amazing, still really loved it, like was very satisfied with it. Thought it was super cool, but of course the original is going to be better, right?
Yeah, I mean that's not always the case, but I think definitely here it's definitely still the original that takes the cake, and I think that's mainly due to what animation is able to do
Mm.
with a story like this that live action, no matter what you do, just can't. Like there's certain cadences, there's certain movements, there's certain like ways that characters carry themselves and like build on top of little motions, things here and there that the screen can capture that again you just can't capture in live action concurrently, and it's just something that's just a result of that, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just something you notice going into it. But I feel like if you were to see this movie without seeing the original, you would have such a blast and
Mhm.
you would love it all. It's just such a wonderful time through and through.
I do think this is actually one of the better movies to make into a live action. Like, there's some movies that like never made into a live action. The Incredibles never do that. But I do think this is one of the better ones because the story translates so well. And oh my God, Dean, bless your soul for not really making this a dark, gritty thing. I'm so, like, the dragons in the animated one felt like dragons, and I was so nervous they were gonna Game of Thrones them and make them these weird, ugly creature. Like, no, it's fun. Like, it's a kids movie. It's fun.
Yeah, and that's the thing I really like. They still kept the characters of the dragons, like their personalities were still prevalent. And that was something I was worried about. It's like, are you just gonna make them like stoic animals that just, are traditional dragons? Or are you going to keep that personality that everyone loved, that each dragon had individually, that made it truly special and versatile with all their dynamics and how they related to each of their characters later on in the movie? And I think they do it justice here, where it's that good blend of that this feels real, like a real dragon, but also that charming, almost cartoonish personality that each dragon has. It blends and pairs so well to complement each other.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's just, the music's amazing too. I think that's something you always mentioned is the music, but the music here is absolutely fantastic. It does reach in and touch your soul, basically.
Yeah, John Powell killed it, and I will say, guys, while there is a barely even a post-credit scene, but
There's not.
yeah, it's not really a post-credit scene, but it's, a little snippet of something. I would say it's still worth staying through the credits because you get that wonderful score echoing throughout the theater, and it's like you can't leave. I remember when we were just in there just a moment ago, because it's not really that hard to remember. But we're sitting there and everyone's of course talking and deliberating about their thoughts on the movie. But then there's like this chorus and choir that kicks in with the score of How to Train Your Dragon as the credits are rolling, and like the theater, just everyone in that theater kind of like communally just quieted down and tuned in
Yes.
to the music, and it was just, oh man, what a wonderful moment to have in the theater.
Do you think Chris Sanders is really jealous of Dean because his animated remake did better than Lilo and Stitch?
Well, in our eyes, yes, but Chris Sanders didn't direct the Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, but it's kind of like his in a way.
I I guess
It's a
but
joke, Ethan.
yeah, no. Apples to apples. No, but
They're buddies. They're still friends.
yeah, they're buddies. So I mean, I don't know. I feel like it might have done it better if Chris Sanders was given the opportunity to direct Lilo and Stitch, and maybe Lilo and Stitch should have been done, and this would never happen, but maybe Lilo and Stitch live action remake probably should have been done under the DreamWorks umbrella. Oh, did I say that out loud?
Oh no, Disney's gonna come for you.
Hey, if the dreams work.
What's that red dot on your shirt?
What?
No. Listen, I really hope this movie does well. I think, I'm going to say it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to, bold prediction, $1 billion film.
You know what? I was expecting Lilo and Stitch to be the guaranteed $1 billion film, but after seeing it, I'm like, it's going to make a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. It's going to make a lot of money, and it's going to have its fans, but I just can't guarantee it that $1 billion spot that I thought before seeing that movie. With this one, I'd say let's switch some things around here and put that $1 billion spot that's just about guaranteed to this movie. It's got that established fan base. It's got the idea that, it channels what came before so well. Just genuinely on its own, a great film. And I think word of mouth will spread about it.
Absolutely. I already have my tickets to go see it again, so.
I saw her buy them, so it's like, she ain't joking.
Right after the movie. Click, click.
No, but wow. Now, Annmarie, with all this being said, you know what we gotta do right now?
Yes.
We gotta rate these Dragon Tales.
You remind me of the PBS show. Dragon Tales. It's almost time for Dragon Tales.
It's now time for our Dragon Tale review here.
All right.
So, out of, let's see. 10 delicious, delectable, delightful barrels of fish. What would you give How to Train Your Dragon out of 10?
I'm not a huge fish fan. No. You guys, this movie is absolutely incredible. It does really defy expectations. I think going in, Ethan and I were both super nervous for it just because of word of mouth and what we heard. It's incredible. Again, I recommend IMAX for it if you have the opportunity to do it. Otherwise, just go see this movie. It deserves the love it does. And so I think I'm going to do it. I think this is my first one, but it might not be. Don't quote me. 10 out of 10. Absolutely 10 out of 10. 100% deserve that. And I hope it makes $1 billion.
Yeah, while I really did enjoy this movie through and through, I'm not sure if I would give it a 10 out of 10. Just because, again, while it did the absolute best it could, I would have to just dock it that 5, because if I'm putting the original at a 10, I would say this one is 9.5 out of 10.
Okay, close.
Just because it's not quite there. I agree with you. It's missing that one little piece, that one, while it does channel the spirit, it doesn't channel the full spirit of that original. Where it's, I don't know, where it's got, if it's being diced up and divvied out here, it didn't get all of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure exactly what all those pieces would be that it would need, which is why I'm tentatively giving it this score. But if I had to break it down between two numbers, it'd be 9.5 to 10. So it would be close to that 10, but maybe not quite there. And
pretty solid, though.
Yeah. And I gotta say, after seeing this movie, if I want one person to direct a Treasure Planet live action movie, I would love if Dean DeBlois would be the director for that one.
Oh, we're calling him now. Dial him up.
But we'll see if Disney even lets him touch that or
work
his magic.
You're on Disney's bad side right now, so I'll call him.
I mean, if it makes $1 billion movie, then anyone would want him. His phone's gonna be ringing like crazy. But it's just a matter of Disney would let him do what he would want to do, I don't know, DreamWorks. But I don't know. But either way, guys, How to Train Your Dragon live action 2025. We just saw it. We loved it. Mm-hmm. Have you guys seen it? We want to know what you think. Do you guys love the original? Are you just like a true diehard fan that nothing's going to be better? Are you worried going into this? Are you still worried after listening to our review, or are you positively more optimistic? Whatever your thoughts are, whether you have or haven't seen it, let us know your takes on our tapes in those comments down below. And with that, Annmarie,
Spoilers?
yeah, I mean, I guess we could do spoiler talk.
I have something.
Okay, it is a remake of a movie, but it's like, yeah, let's do spoiler.
Spoilers.
All right, little baby spoiler time. All right, guys. So if you've not seen the original How to Train Your Dragon or the live action 2025 How to Train Your Dragon, please back the hell away. Like, please, we do not want you to have your ears spoiled for you. And if you do, you're a weirdo. Please get help for your own sake.
For your own sake.
But anyway, guys, spoiler time begins now.
All right. Ethan, before we saw this movie, the director had come out, Dean, and said, hey, listen, it's pretty much a remake of the original one. And that made you very nervous. And it made me nervous too. I would say slightly less so, but still. And for the most part, it's pretty beat for beat. I will say they added a little bit more stuff with Astrid, as well as Snotrot. What's his name? The snot guy.
The Deadpool kid guy.
Yeah, the Deadpool kid guy. Are you satisfied with it being a beat for beat remake?
Well, that's the thing. It's not.
It's close.
It is close, but it's just there to where I wouldn't call it beat for beat. And I honestly am pretty satisfied with what I got out of this movie. So I can't complain with what I was served.
Do you think that, depending on the success of this movie, we don't know yet, but I do think it's going to do better than Lilo and Stitch. And Lilo and Stitch wasn't beat for beat. They added new stuff to it. Do you think Disney, DreamWorks, whoever makes a remake of an animated film, do you think they'll go for beat for beat? Because some of the Disney live action films, some of my favorite, Aladdin, Little Mermaid, they're not really beat for beat like this one. So do you think that's going to change a lot of people's opinions, especially like companies?
See, the thing with Lilo and Stitch, though, is regardless of our thoughts on the movie, it's already making like $800 million within its, was it second, third week? So, I mean, that's already a success for them, regardless of if it makes $1 billion or not. So it's hard to say whether or not they're going to tune into the idea of what people like more. Now, if How to Train Your Dragon makes more money than Lilo and Stitch, then I would say maybe that might perk their ears up a little bit because money talks. So I don't know, because that also delves into the creative side of things and how much are they going to be willing to strong arm everything, and also keeping in mind of Disney's shift from what came before with the JPEG quantity over quality to now where it's not as much like that. So I don't know. Are they going to go off from the JPEG era of what worked from the JPEG era and just kind of leave behind what didn't work? Or are they just going to see what works at other companies and, kind of go by, well, did it make more money than we did with something similar?
It'd be interesting. I think the greatest thing that I want Disney, DreamWorks, whoever to take away from this is if you can get the original director of the animated, please bring them back, because I think Dean did an amazing job with that because he understood the story. I don't think this would have done as well with a different director.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, of course, we don't always know that for sure. Because
we don't have a glass ball.
Exactly. But, if there's anyone that knows their characters better than anyone, it's the guy that, created them or, brought them to our lives in the first place. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I wouldn't always have the original animating director. I would give him the option, but you're putting a lot on the line by investing all that money on a potentially someone that might not have directed a live action film before.
That's true.
And that doesn't always perfectly translate. Here, it did. It translated wonderfully, but that's not always the case. So I think it's always kind of like it varies by basis as to who's the director, what's their previous experience. But I think you could get a good vibe off of someone, especially like Dean DeBlois. DeBlois. But we'll figure that out.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, I think it's just gonna be an interesting dynamic that happens after both of these movies come out with live action. Because I mean, with Disney pumping the brakes on a lot of their live action remakes, but coming off after a financial success like Lilo and Stitch, and then How to Train Your Dragon now that we know it's going to be a financial success. I don't know, does that change their mind? Does it turn their heads? I don't know.
I don't know, but I'm excited because we already know we're going to get a second live action. By the way, yes, How to Train Your Dragon is a trilogy. Go see the second and third movies because they're awesome, by the way. So many people I've talked to were like, it's a trilogy? I'm like, you didn't know that?
Yeah, I mean, the first one was so good, and just, I'll
The
be honest.
second one's better.
I'll be honest. Feel free to, throw your fireballs at me or stab me with your Viking horns and all that. I have never seen the second and third How to Train Your Dragon
You guys,
movies.
I have to deal with this every single day, and it's so hard.
I'm working on it, so...
Go see the second and third one because they're amazing, and I'm sure they're going to pump out these nuts too pretty quickly, too. Keep on the roll of it.
Yeah, I mean, they better, because I'll be there for it.
I'm sat with my toothless popcorn bucket. Where's the toothless popcorn bucket?
They were there, man. They were there.
I needed one.
I guess you needed to see the movie first to verify if you wanted it.
Yeah, that's true.
By the time you get out, it's like Dune Part 2. All of them are gone. And just strangely filled with butter. But anyway, guys, I think that about does it, Annmarie.
Yes.
So, guys, How to Train Your Dragon live action 2025. We talked a little bit of spoilers here and there, and the dynamics of live action. We want to know your thoughts here. Like, do you think that live action remakes are going to be heavily impacted by the success of How to Train Your Dragon or Lilo and Stitch? We want to know your takes on our tapes in those comments down below. And with that, Annmarie, I think it's about time we wrap it.
Let's wrap it.
All right, guys. So thank you for joining us on this episode and review of Cassette Take. We hope you haven't ejected thus far into the podcast. But whether you have or haven't, don't forget to like, subscribe, doing all the following and stuff. And, we always appreciate your time and presence with us here. But most importantly, do not forget to rewind. I've been Ethan.
I'm Annmarie.
And
Toothless, I'm coming!